Welcome back, guys. I trust you've been staying safe. We are going back to South Africa again, and this case is quite unique. It's based on a young man's stupidity, I should say, and also his sort of insatiable sex drive, coupled with the fact that he just does not appreciate wisdom. And by so doing, this 22-year-old man, by name Siyabonga Sanderson, has decided that the best way he was going to respond to an advice from his 75-year-old grandfather by name Albert Sanderson, trying to explain to him that he needs to calm down a bit and reduce the number of girlfriends that he has and actually brings home into their family home to have sex with, was to just punch his grandfather in the face and unalive him. Yeah, that is what has happened. This 22-year-old boy by name Siyabonga Sanderson has taken the life of his grandfather, who is 75 years old, by inflicting physical punches on him just because his grandfather advised him that, look, young man, you are growing, you need to build your future, slow down on the womanizing and get your act together. Just because of this advice, this 22-year-old boy or 22-year-old man decided in his mind that his grandpa was done for and he unalived him. I think that the world is coming to something that is something else. I know things have been bad in the past. It's not like everything was cushy, but social media is now here and these stories are easy to get to know irrespective of where you are. So you might think that, oh, then evil is sort of prevalent, crime is prevalent and it's getting out of hand. That's the argument people put out, that social media has now made it easier to get access to this information, so you think they are more rampant. But I beg to differ. I think they are actually more rampant now because it looks like the fabric of discipline is just fading out. How do you do this to your own grandpa? How? And look at the advice your grandpa was giving you. This is solid advice some people wish they were given in their youthful days. And even if you didn't like the advice, you don't need to go to that extent. You can give your feedback to the advice and go your way. But mind you, you are even still under their roof, so they have authority over you. But you don't go to the extent of getting physical with your own grandfather and perpetrating it to the point that he gets deceased. And he didn't end there. After the 22-year-old Siyabonga Sanderson had taken his grandfather's life, he took him to the backyard of their family building. He dug a shallow grave and he laid him to rest there, all by himself. All by himself. This is where the world is coming to, because some years ago, you wouldn't think this of a young boy like this being able to do this. You know, they would still have their own things they do, but this is too gruesome. This is something that takes a lot of darkness in one human being to initiate, execute, and see to conclusion. And this guy did it, and he still didn't even express any remorse. This case is as young as the 6th of November 2023. And he did this to his grandpa. He went to bed as though nothing was at stake. If you are not yet familiar with some of these cases, go back to my playlist. I have another one about what a 14-year-old did to a lecturer who was actually just trying to help her. And you begin to understand what I mean by the youth of today seem to be getting out of hand, some of them at least. Because when this guy did all this, Siyabonga Sanderson had no remorse. Even to the point that when he was finally processed for court and he got to the court, he indicated that he is not going to plead for bail because he knows they are not going to grant him the bail. It looks like this guy is on his own path of crazy. And he went on further to talk about the fact that he's also not going to seek for an attorney to represent him and that he's going to represent himself. I think he's going through the phases where he is at a point where he feels that it's him against the world and he can do everything himself. But it doesn't work that way. This guy is going to destroy his life. Even as he stands now, I think he has destroyed most of it because it's likely he might go in for life. And the only thing that might help him stand a chance of not going in for life imprisonment is for him to get a very competent attorney who may be able to argue out his case through certain angles and maybe get a lesser punishment or a less stiffer punishment. But here is the case: he's so full of himself and so arrogant. He's saying that he's going to defend himself in court. And, this is unconfirmed though, but I'm informed that if you take such stances in court, you're already looking at you not having a favorable view or a favorable perspective to your argument in court. And mind you, you are just 22. You are not an expert in law. You don't have a law degree. You have no background in law. All you know is womanizing. How are you going to debate in court against a prosecutor, an experienced one at that, who is trying to put you behind bars for what you've done? It's going to be an open and shut case where he's going to lose hands down. And when the verdict comes through, I don't think anybody is even going to have some remorse or pity or sympathy for him, because he keeps on showing the posturing of somebody who is adamant about doing the wrong thing and continuing in his wrong ways, instead of someone who is repentant and showing some form of remorse for what he has done. This guy is on a whole path of destruction. And at this point, the question also is, was it worth it? Now, these women can't come to you now. They'll probably move to the next best thing after you. You are going to spend the rest of your life in jail. So, was it worth it that you decided to take the life of your grandpa just because he advised you against excessive womanizing? I don't think so. I think that it was not worth it. I think he has just thrown his life away. I don't know where his parents are. In my research, they sent him to go and stay with his grandfather, and this happened. And it's very, very unfortunate, honestly, because I'm sure if the parents knew it would lead to this, definitely they wouldn't have done so by sending him to his grandpa. RIP to the grandpa. It's very unfortunate having to lose your life as a grandpa at the hands of your grandchild. This is heavy, and I think if this guy gets to a certain stage in life, it's gonna haunt him, knowing very well he has taken a life with his own hands, and not just any other person's life, but his own grandfather's life. It could be the father of his mother or the father of his father. Either way, it is too deep and dark for a 22-year-old to be caught in this as being the one responsible for physically inflicting injuries that resulted in this. But he still seems adamant, and with such people, when I juxtapose them with the nature of most of the African correctional facilities or the correctional facilities in most of the African countries, I begin to get concerned, because he might go in, come out, and he will be far worse than when he was going in. I don't know if that will be the case for this guy, but I'm not impressed at all. by what he's doing. And I know that if he continues like this, he'll probably get life imprisonment or maybe even the death sentence. I don't know if South Africa grants that. But I believe if he continues like this, he's going to get the stiffest punishment available for what he has done, because it's even an affront to the legal system that you, a non-experienced person and all, you decide that you are just going to represent yourself. You might think it's going to be a matter of you say I see, you say I see. But when proceedings start, that will be when he will realize that he just fucked up. And by then, maybe it might be too late for him to go back to get a legal representation, and he may have to struggle through himself, or maybe the courts will spare him. Either way, I think that Siyabonga Sanderson has just destroyed his life. And if you are watching this, please learn from it and be better. Subscribe to the channel if you are yet to do so. Turn on the post notifications. I'll catch you in the next one.